Bills-Rams tonight, NBC and Peacock. NFL kickoff at 8:30 Eastern on NBC and Peacock. It'll be Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark on the sidelines, and then it'll be the Buccaneers at the Cowboys this weekend. That'll be Sunday Night Football, and the man calling all the action is Mike Tirico, NBC Sunday Night Football play-by-play voice. How is the voice, Mike?
Well, what time is it out here, Dan? It's 7:24, so I think it's okay. It's warming up. We'll be ready in about 10 hours, whatever the heck it is.
I was talking about most painful loss that you've ever seen. Now, I mean, we could flip that and say the most incredible win you've ever seen.
Right.
But
right.
Being on the sidelines when Seattle threw the interception against the Patriots and Malcolm Butler, to see a shift like that happen in the span of a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
And then I was there when Bill Buckner had the ball go through his legs. Those are two of the most. Now, Boston did have one more game. That was game 6. Seattle had no more chances. But those are two of the more painful losses that I've ever witnessed. I was there when Joe Carter homered off Mitch Williams in Skydome. That didn't feel as dramatic as what happened with Seattle. Do you have one that comes to mind?
If you're leading me towards Buffalo's against Kansas City, we can go there in a second. But March 30, 1987, Keith freaking Smart, Syracuse, Indiana. I mean, that's at the Superdome in New Orleans. I'm student media at that time, working at WAER, our college radio station where all the Syracuse broadcasters work. And we got to cover it. And I'm not calling the game. I'm hosting the pregame, halftime, postgame. And I'm in the third row, and I'm on that side of the bench. And we covered the you-know-what out of Steve Alford. Alford was not going to get up a shot, and he was covered. And Keith freaking Smart made the shot. And that still hurts. March 30, 1987 is still a dark day for me. I can't stand it. The only thing made up for it was Syracuse won the national championship with Carmelo Anthony in the Dome in New Orleans. So at least going back in there hasn't been as painful. But to tonight, that Bills loss against Kansas City, when they walked off the field with 13 seconds left, they had to feel like they were hosting the AFC Championship game. And that is just a crusher. And that's what they've talked about for 7 months in Western New York, 13 seconds. Look, 13 seconds joins wide right in Buffalo parlance, and the Music City Miracle. And all those plays that they'll never forget happened to the Buffalo team.
I mentioned this to start the show. If the Rams had not won the Super Bowl last year, how many people would take the Rams heading into this year? It's almost like they're avoiding them because they won the Super Bowl, and they might have gotten better in the offseason.
Yeah, because you lose Von Miller, and you go, man, you lose Von Miller. He made a difference in pass rushing for the Rams in the Super Bowl run, those playoff games. But without Von Miller, use that money in a couple of places. Bobby Wagner, so now you have a veteran, great head of the defense who has seen it all in his 10 years in Seattle, and he stays in the division, comes to the Rams. And then you add Allen Robinson as a receiver, and he has not had a quarterback anywhere near the level of Matthew Stafford. So, yes, Odell Beckham Jr. is out. He's not a part of it because of the ACL. He still may come back. The Rams have left the locker for him. He's going to be on the field before the game tonight. So the Rams are putting on the full schmooze to make sure, hey, Odell, come on back when you're healthy and you're ready. But in some ways, they might be a little bit better. I think it's going to take some time. Whitworth, the left tackle, safety position. Remember, Weddle came in late and was key for them in the playoffs. But I think you're right. There's that feeling of we haven't seen anybody repeat in over a decade and a half. So why would you pick a team to repeat when it just doesn't happen in this NFL? But this team has every opportunity to, I think.
When's the last time you went down the roster and you went, oh, that's going to be a tough name to call?
Oh, college games all the time. College games all the time. So many different names, so many different countries being represented in football now. Players who come for an opportunity. Yeah, so it was weekly with Notre Dame games. That's for sure.
But how do you it feels like you have analysts who just call him Tua now. Like Giannis was the Greek freak. That we got to the point where we're like, I don't even want to go there. He just Tua back to pass. Oh, Giannis with the slam.
Well, the key is they need a unique first name that helps you out. Like even might come up in the broadcast. Who knows? The Pagulas own the Bills. Their daughter Jessica had a great run at the U.S. Open, lost in the quarterfinals to Iga Swiatek, right? So, which would be a great when I hear Iga Swiatek, the number one seed at the U.S. Open, I think that is a Dan Patrick highlight name. Still in my mind, there are names where DK would walk around with the shot sheet, the highlights go, Swiatek, and those are the best. And then once the joke started, you and Keith, you'd never let it go.
No.
So every time it show up, it was priceless TV. So yes, I still, if there's a name you come across, you walk around and say it to yourself 100 times before you get on TV.
I remember when Nikolai
Habibulin.
Well, when he first came up and I got the shot sheet and I was doing the highlight and I said, how do you pronounce the goalie? Khabibulin. So the first time I went on SportsCenter, oh man, am I playing up Nikolai Khabibulin. He was great. Nikolai Khabibulin with another save. And then I get done with the show and I get all these voice messages. Hey, it's Habibulin, idiot. I'm like,
Those are the best.
You can't screw up Ron Tugnut, but I did screw up Nikolai Khabibulin. Like, damn it.
Did you do the highlight the night Tugnut made like 70 saves?
Yes, and I said,
oh my God.
He saw more rubber than a tire salesman. Ron Tugnut. I think he had like 73 saves or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
Boston, St. Louis, me. I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I remember like nights like that doubling over. Usually I was upstairs with Chris Myers getting ready to do the 2:30 or the 2 a.m. and you and KO were doing the show, and just there's like laughter amongst the 10 people left in the newsroom.
Oh.
God, those were funny days.
And we played to the camera crew. We played to the floor direct. That was our audience. So you never knew if it was like if you made the camera crew laugh, then you're like, all right, maybe somebody in America is appreciating this.
Exactly. I saw Van Pelt was on last night. They stayed around to do at least the first segment, if not the whole show live after the tennis ended. And it was somewhere around 3 a.m. Eastern time, midnight Pacific. So, Scotty always goes on the show and says it's 12:16 a.m. and I'm not tired. It's 3 a.m. and I am tired. Right? But those are the fun nights too, when we'd sit around waiting for the West Coast baseball games to end. Bottom of the ninth, top of the ninth, home team trailing. Okay, good. Or home team winning. That means good. We may be on in 2 pitches, and invariably, the Mariners bullpen. And all due respect to the Mariners bullpen of the early '90s, that bullpen sucked.
Yeah,
I mean, we had more nights where we sat out there. 10th inning, 11th inning, 12th inning, they gave up runs and couldn't close a game. But
there would be times, and it would seep into how you called the highlight. Yeah. Like you were so mad because this game went 12 innings, and Mike Schooler gave up a home run, and you go, Mike Schooler gives up the home run, and the Red Sox win. We're talking to Mike Tirico, be on the call tonight with Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark, and NFL kickoff at 8:30 Eastern. Last time you were truly nervous at an event?
First night of doing the Olympics in 2018 in South Korea. That's the first night. Bob Costas wasn't the primetime host of the Olympics. For whatever reason, that moment was like, oh my gosh, really? It's Jim McKay's job and Costas's job, and now it's mine. Don't screw it up. And about a minute before, I think everybody else around was nervous for me because you can tell when the studio's a little tense and uptight. Our studio in the broadcast center was a little tense and a little uptight. And like about a minute before, I just started cracking a couple of jokes. It was like, is everybody nervous in here? What's going on? It's got really quiet in here, which was just kind of a way to disarm everybody, including me, just to let everyone know I was okay. So that was the last time I was really a little bit nervous. There's always the adrenaline, right? Of getting back on the air and doing a show or doing a game or doing something new. But truly nervous, I think it was that.
Are you a Lions fan this year? Like, how do you feel about your Detroit Lions this year?
Well, I am agnostic, of course. Dan is now a returning NFL voice. I love every team equally. I hate every team equally. Collinsworth keeps telling me, don't worry, they're going to hate you in like 2 weeks. I promise you. It's just different. It comes with the territory. It comes with sitting next to me. I think the Hard Knocks thing was the best thing the Lions could have done because I think folks had lost belief in the team and the franchise, and it just gave it a face and a personality and a juice and an enthusiasm. And, you could have a lot of fun with Dan Campbell and some of his sound bites, but if you watched Hard Knocks, like I go back to the second to last episode, they're in Pittsburgh. They've played the Steelers in the preseason. He's addressing the team in the locker room. And you could tell, like, Dan Campbell, the guy who knew from his decade of playing that locker room was going to be missing about 25 guys because of cuts. Like, you could see that emotion. So in addition to the, we're gonna eat people, and I don't care if you have one butt cheek and all the stuff that he talked about, all silly stuff. Like, there's a guy who really cares about the players, and that's what I see here with Sean McVay. The guys who care about the players. That's what a player's coach is now. Like, do you really give a darn about me and what's going on in my life? And can you set that emotion and that atmosphere in our locker room? And I think the Lions have that. They were pretty close in a bunch of games last year. 7 or 8 wins was not out of the realm of possibility for them this year, I think.
I'll leave you with this. A couple of weeks ago, you're interviewing Rory, just won the FedEx, and you emphasize the word "this" to win the FedEx this year.
Right.
Was that on purpose?
1,000%. I did end up saying, given the changing whatever landscape of golf at that point, right? You're not going to sit there and start going to a live conversation, but and I've told you this off air. You're one of the best people doing interviews, because if you use a few words in a question, then every word matters, and the emphasis on the words matter. And sometimes when you have a good subject, somebody who's going to be willing to let you take them there, it's up to you to get them there. And as soon as I said this year with him, he got it. He knew, and he gave an exceptional answer on not the Tour Championship or the FedEx Cup, but what it meant to do it, because he was the guy out front as the face of all this. So yeah, it's, and I do say that in all great respect and care and love for you. We all learn from each other, right? I mean, I pick up stuff that Ian does, or Jim does, or Joe does, or Al does, or Kevin does with Fox, that, hey, that's a good way to do this. We're all kind of taking a bunch of ideas and putting them in our own personality. And one thing you were always great about, and still are, is asking a question the right way. So yeah, good, great pickup by you. I guess the professor still got it.
Oh, I'm observing, always observing there. But, it was one of the first things I brought up on the show that next day. It was just, Rory, if you get to Rory and you get him in the right situation, he'll take the baton and he'll keep running. He doesn't hand it off. He'll keep running.
Right.
He'll do another lap. And that's what I loved. It was quick. It was to the point. The emphasis was there. He grabbed it, seized it. And that's what made it, a great answer. People always say, boy, you ask great questions. I go, how are the answers? Because if the answers aren't any good, it doesn't matter how the question is.
And if you're sitting on our side of it, when somebody's giving a great answer, because you're thinking of the follow-up, you're listening for the follow-up, right? And okay, well, they took that follow-up. Well, they keep going. Yeah. They took that follow-up. Damn, what am I going to do now? You took the next 4 questions because your answer wasn't good. It was unbelievably good. But that's the joy of the job, the adrenaline of the moment and being reactive to it. I've got like 8,000 things of prep here and all this stuff. That's not it. The fun part is you get in the booth, the game kicks off, and you don't know where you're going to go. It's the 3.5-hour open book oral exam of, did you do your prep this week? And I love the energy of that, and can't wait to do it, and then get on a plane and go to Dallas and pick up for the Bucs and Cowboys on Sunday for the opener of Sunday night.
I wasn't going to watch the game tonight, Paulie, but now because Mike had a good visit,
he sold it.
Now I'm going to watch.
What do you mean you weren't going to watch the game? Get out of here.
See, that's the actor in me, Mike. I am an actor. Just letting you know.
And you play one on TV.
Yes, I'm acting right now. Come on. You're crazy. Have fun tonight, Mike. We'll be there critiquing you.
I look forward to your critiques. Thanks, pal.
Thank you, buddy. That's Mike Tirico. He's the voice of Football Night in America. Sunday Night Football with Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark on the sidelines.